When a person strikes it rich and becomes famous, getting some extra protection is a must, and that's where a bodyguard comes in. They risk their own well-being to keep their clients safe from danger. Yet their job has a lot more to it than just standing next to their client whilst looking intense. Today we're going to look behind the curtain of the wealthiest personal protection security. We'll see what the job entails, what training they need, and the salary they bring in. We'll even look at a well-known bodyguard service and how prospects are selected soon. Let's get started. First off, bodyguards don't always like to be called bodyguards. Some within profession find the word brings a negative connotation of being unskilled and very muscular. As such, they prefer terms like personal protection specialist, close protection officer, or executive protection agent. After all, one of the biggest myths is that a bodyguard has to be massive in size. Celebrities will tend to hire the biggest people they can find in order to make a statement. Yet in most situations, the better a bodyguard can blend into crowd, the less likely trouble will brew. The most important aspects for bodyguards are diplomacy, perception, and communication. Also, being able to speak more than one language is a useful tool. As such, as long as the bodyguard is good fitness, size is irrelevant. While not all bodyguards transition from roles in the military before funding themselves protecting the elite in the U.S. entry-level, military jobs start at around $21,000 per year, whilst at the top end, they could be bringing in $190,000. However, while most bodyguards may not be at the top end of the military salary, they aren't in active combat regularly, but they still have to be wary. Often being a bodyguard requires a lot of patience. Most events may go by with no problems yet. In a moment, they may need to act very quickly. Bodyguards have a number of roles to cover. They could be a driver. They might sweep the area for bugs and devices, or perhaps plan the protection strategy for a client entering a particular building. It depends on who the client is and the possible risk to their safety. If they're a celebrity, for example, the bodyguard may need to warn the overeager press from getting too close, while for high-risk targets, they need to scout the area for any potential person with a weapon as a bodyguard of the rich. They often live a life of luxury as well, dining at expensive restaurants, staying in pricey hotels, and so on. It's one of the biggest potential downfalls of the job. Graham Dyson, a professional bodyguard, stated, quote, "Some begin to think that is their lifestyle and not the client's, and try to do the same thing when they are not working and bankrupt themselves." Unquote. Dyson was a bodyguard for Benedict Cumberbatch and was even an extra on the show. Sherlock showing that in the role, anything could happen depending on where you live in the world. There are different qualifications needed to live. Enter Kevin Costner in the UK. You'll need a license by the Security Industry Authority, or SASI Close Protection Training Course can cost up to £1,845, or around $2,552. With this, you have a 2-week course that covers surveillance, level 3, close protection, level 3, first aid, and more. This provides you with a bare minimum for the license. You will then need to apply for the actual license, which will cost £190 around at $263. But for those wanting to do more, a bodyguard can do hostile situation training. This course shows you how to react in dangerous situations and provide experience in using a variety of weapons. These courses can cost up to £1,600 or $2,213 altogether. This gives us a price of £3,635 or $5,028. Then, as long as you pass a background check and are over the age of 18, you can be a bodyguard in Britain across the pond, and the U.S. official qualifications aren't needed, but can be necessary. Most places will require people to have at least a high school diploma or GED equivalent. But of course, doing courses and further training will make the Guard a lot more attractive to private security firms and clients. The Executive Security International in Colorado offers a range of programs. The most intense is the Ultimate Training Package. In this 10-week course, such areas as executive protection, covert protection, corporate security management, and more are offered. It'll currently set you back $23,750. While in New York, there's the Executive Protection Institute. They offer a wide range of courses that cover a number of different aspects. For example, the Providing Executive Protection Program costs $3,999 protection driving program is $1,350, while the Celebrity Protection course is $2,395. As a bodyguard, if there's a dangerous threat, the most important task is to get the client to safety for those. From a military and emergency services background, they're trained to go towards a threat, not away from it. As such, the role of a bodyguard does require extensive training in order to change that mindset. When looking to sign up with a security firm, this sort of training is provided by most of them. Bodyguards can work all sorts of hours for long stretches of time. It's not a 9-to-5 job at all. It all depends on the client's demands, on top of their salary. The bodyguards will also be able to claim expenses such as food, accommodation, and so on, which is useful if the client does like to venture to pricey places. Typically, in the industry, clients will be charged for the day rather than per hour. There are services that do charge half days, but they're rare. As such, in the UK, bodyguards usually get between £500 to £1,500, or $692 to $2,075. But some services have stated that the hourly cost for a 12-hour day works out to between £40 to £80, or $55 to $111. The increased pay usually means a risk to the bodyguards. Health will also be high. Hypothetically, if a bodyguard worked every working day in the UK at the highest pay, their yearly salary will be around £382,500, or $529,131. However, of course this isn't usually the case. Last year, a number of London's wealthy were reportedly hiring top bodyguards to look after their children. They would drop the children off at school, wait around, then take them back home. Some of these bodyguards were commanding a salary of up to £150,000, or around $207,500 per year. One of the biggest jobs in the bodyguard industry is working with the Secret Services, Presidential Protection Division, or PPD. But it's incredibly difficult to be selected during 2011 out of 15,600 special agent applicants. Less than 1% were chosen. In order to join, you have to be an American citizen between the ages of 21 to 37. Although exceptions are made for certain military veterans, up to the age of 40, agents have to have great eyesight and hearing, undergo a background check, own a valid driver's license, pass a drug test, and be physically fit. They also have to undergo 6 months of training, firstly at a federal law enforcement training center. Secondly, at the James J. Rowley Training Center. Currently, the entry yearly salary for a special agent is between $49,016 to $64,009. Depending on experience through promotions, it's possible to bring in $144,676. On top of this, due to the law enforcement availability, pay, or leap, they can earn a further 25% of their base salary. So on the top end, a special agent could be making $180,845. Here's our final fact finish. The wealthiest bodyguard is said to be Norman Zell. He led the security detail for former president of Ella, Peter Erica. When the president was arrested on corruption charges, the finances of Chazelle were examined for a bodyguard. He was making around $1,500 a month. He reportedly had assets amounting to $2.2 million. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.